Mission is simple: to help high achievers naturally eliminate emotional and physical obstacles so they can optimize their life for higher achievement. Welcome. You have just entered the Genesis Zone. Good day and welcome to the Genesis Zone show. This is Dr. Brian Brown. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. You're in for a special treat today because we have a repeat guest back. Liz Hall is joining us in this Wellness Warrior series as a servant leader. She's going to be talking to us about her expertise. Liz is passionate about empowering individuals to take control of their health. She is the owner and founder of the V Trainer. That's V as in Victor, the V Trainer, and a customized fitness and nutrition company. After losing 100 pounds naturally, guys, no surgery, naturally, she dedicates her life to guiding others on their health journeys. She has created a proprietary micro-step approach to losing weight that drastically enhances transformational results for her clients. Liz works with individuals as well as small to medium-sized companies to provide health solutions. And she's also worked with over 15 large medical practices, personally trained a former star of the soap opera General Hospital, and has also been featured on CBS, Fox, and ABC discussing her mindset strategies. Welcome again, Liz. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm awesome.
That's awesome. In this servant leader segment, Liz is going to be sharing her expert knowledge in the area of her system, her micro-step approach to losing weight. I can't wait to dive into that. About 4 weeks ago, if you didn't catch it, you should go back and listen to Liz's Overcomer segment. It's her origin story. It's how she became who she is and the things that she learned in that process. And she shared some amazing gold nuggets with us that you're not going to want to miss. Go back and listen to that episode to get caught up to where we're leading into today. Before we dive into the main focus of our interview today, Liz, our audience would love to get to know you better professionally. Can you share with us a little bit about your professional backstory, like what brought you into this specific career path and your specific zone of genius?
Absolutely. Zone of genius. This is so, so kind. I experienced my own struggle to a solution is what I say, and turning my pain into purpose. So I lost 100 pounds over 10 years ago, 11. And what I found was the tools I needed for my journey weren't available. It was not a lack of information. There's plenty of diets. There are plenty of workout routines, trainers. What wasn't being addressed was the psychology that was holding me back from getting to my goal. And so what I've done is, and that's part of that micro-step approach, is getting that final piece and really the sustainable piece of any sort of transformation, getting in touch with that psychology. And that's why I created the V Trainer. I'm so passionate about it. I'm so passionate about helping others have an easier journey. Although it's not easy, I want to ease the lessons that I let me read all the books and absorb it and make it so it's understandable on a simple level. Complex theories and break it down into digestible for any layman's terms, right? Any layman can understand it. So this is important to me because it's what I needed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So necessity truly was the mother of invention here.
In this case, yes.
Yeah. So the V Trainer, what does the V stand for?
Virtual
trainer. Makes total sense.
Yeah. So before that was the buzzword. And I joke, it was a blessing for me when the buzzword became virtual and at home, and me explaining that I'm an online virtual trainer. I no longer see the deer in headlight looks anymore.
Yeah.
So it opened up way for me.
Yeah.
And it's been a blessing. I realized that I needed convenience. I used time as an excuse at my heaviest weight. And what I wanted to do is, again, create a system that took out all the excuses and made it so simple for people to see results that were life lasting. and lifestyle changes that were sustainable,
That's awesome.
were powerful. Mm-hmm.
So in your career path up until now, is there an interesting or maybe even a humorous story about something that happened to you that you could share?
Humorous, if I can share my favorite story.
Sure, go ahead.
My very favorite, and it's hard to say like my favorite client. I won't say my favorite client. My favorite story, because talk about mindset.
Yeah.
I had a woman that was diagnosed with polio when she was young, a child. So she's an older woman. She's in her 60s. So her leg was shorter than the other. And she was never able to climb one step at a time. She always needed to climb up one, follow the other leg. And after working with her for 3 months, I got goosebumps. She was able to, for the first time in her life, in over 60 years, able to climb up a flight of stairs.
Wow.
One at a time. This is why I do what I do. That woman is the poster child for what I teach, which is mind over everything.
Not just mind over matter, mind over everything.
Everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I was going to ask you what was the takeaway there, but I think that's the takeaway. It's truly mind over everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And including the basis for my micro-step approach.
Awesome. So in our servant leader segments, we focus on experts who serve their clients at the highest level. Obviously, you're one of those people. When I was prepping for the show, I found some interesting pieces of information that I'd like to ask you a few more details about, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned 3 questions to answer before you begin your weight loss journey. And I think we touched on this a little bit in your Overcomer segment last month. But share with the audience again those 3 questions that need to be answered before you begin your weight loss journey.
So I would say it's going to be different than the 3 statements we must make about anything we do. And I also invite the listeners to consider that these questions must be asked before any goal is approached.
So it's not just weight loss. It's any goal. Yeah.
Yeah. And so these are the questions. Who do I need to be to get this goal? So let's say that it's 100-pound weight loss. Who do I need to be? And the answer may look like committed, prepared, disciplined, willing to sacrifice mornings or sleep to get in if that's the only time I can get workouts done, right? So really narrowing who do I need to be and getting clear on, and also looking at without judgment, who am I being right now, right? So maybe stepping back to say, what am I doing right now to create the results that I have now? Now with this new goal and this new identity that I'm building, who do I need to be this? And it is getting raw and honest. No change or transformation can occur without brutal. Let's take out brutal honesty. Raw, let's say raw honesty. Brutal, that's a negative word. Raw honesty, without judgment, without shame, guilt. It's getting honest. We cannot manage what we do not measure. And this goes for thoughts as well. Why am I doing this? So why is this goal important? And there are layers. So many people have studied 5 to 7 whys underneath that initial why, right? So that first why might be very surface level. I want to look good. Okay, well, why does it matter that you look good? And again, we keep diving in a little bit and getting clear. And so much of our values are pulled out of this, by the way, of what really matters to us. So for instance, for me, at this point, I was tired of hearing my broken record. I was tired of hearing myself complaining with no action to follow to change it. I was becoming that whiny person. And I knew that I was greater than this. I knew that I was able to achieve. So there was this level of living into my potential was one of the deeper layers for me of why this was important to me. Live into my potential to create. I'm a creator. Create this then. Create result. And then action steps to follow. So we have, who do I need to be? Why is it important? And what's an action step today? And here's how I approach the micro step. What's something that you can commit to for 90 days? You do it. If you miss on the 89th day, you must start back at day one and start over. Okay. So really, because what it does is it starts to then engage you in how committed am I? And one tiny habit can change everything. I'm going to share this because it's so good. So it talks about how having zero progress. So it's math, which is not my strong suit. So I'm going to read this, but the mathematical equation, doing nothing at all, 1 to 365th degrees is 1, right? 1.01 to 365th degree is 37.7. 1 versus 37.7 by a 0.01 difference. It's the thought process of compounded interest, compounded habits. This is what the micro step approach does. Compound habits in a way that they keep building and building. And guess what? By the end of a year, the things that we can create by making that one tiny adjustment for 90 days, because then it keeps going. Now it's in our system. Now it's become habit. Now it's become behavior. Then we keep going and then we add something new, tiny. What can you do for 90 days? This is critical for success. What it does is build confidence. Confidence is not born, it is built. And it's by showing up for ourselves when we say we're going to. It builds trust within ourselves. We can then start to tune into other things to trust, like our intuition. And intuition can lead to greater results, greater creativity, just greater things in general, right? We're constantly guided. It's if we're listening. We're all of us, every single one of us has intuition and guidance. It's who's listening.
Yep. No, I think you're so right. And I think in today's society, we sometimes purposefully, sometimes unconsciously find ways to create noise so that we can't listen to our body. We can't listen to our own thoughts. And do you ever find that with your clients?
I have my clients, and I'm not going to make myself self-exempt from this at all, because I've definitely done this. If our car starts making a noise, we immediately take it to the body shop, or we try to diagnose it ourselves if we're car savvy, right? So if I'm savvy with cars and I try to go in there, figure out where it's coming from, and I can diagnose it, and then I treat it. I don't diagnose it and then I leave it. I diagnose it and I change the part out. Okay. With our bodies, when it makes a noise, we're like, that's fine. So we don't even ask.
So what you're saying is that if we didn't treat our bodies like Aunt Betsy's clunker and we treated it more like a sports car, we'd probably be better off.
What a concept to value our bodies as it were this material thing that people so much value. What a concept to value our bodies and ourselves as much as we value material things.
Yeah. Love that point, because I think it's so true. I think so many times people have, I think it stems from low self-esteem, but I think it's multiple things. I think it's multiple layers, but have such low self-image, low self-esteem that they don't listen to their body. They don't take the time to listen to their body. They don't want to listen to their body. Yet, as Einstein would say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. They want the results. They want to make things better. They want to lose the weight, but they don't want to change sometimes. And I've been guilty of this myself. We don't want to change what we need to do, how we need to value ourselves in order to make that happen.
When we talk about self-worth and self-value, that's on such a subconscious level that in itself is why I created the V Trainer, because us having a conversation about diet and nutrition goes only so far if we've identified with ourselves that we are at this level or this weight or this is safe for me. Or so it is identifying and getting into touch with where exactly I am at. It's so pivotal to start there, because so many people, the hardest words for me to hear is I gave up. Because what that means is I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe I could. And so I stopped. There is no failure if we keep going. There's only failure if we stop and we give up.
Right.
And a lot of people have given up the thought that it's possible to get healthy. Yeah. Well, I have this diagnosis. Well, yeah, I did too. And I just kept going. I acted as if. I speak about this quite a bit. If somebody tells me that so I had an autoimmune, it was, my body was attacking itself, and I acted as if it wasn't there, and I proceeded accordingly. Well, guess what? It's in remission with ease. So it is, what am I focused on in all the things? Am I focused on the fact that I was overweight, or am I focused on the fact that I have a goal ahead of me? Am I focused on the fact that I had something that didn't serve my body, or am I focused on the fact I'm going to choose something different later? Are we hanging out in the past? Are we getting anxious about the future? Or are we going to just focus on right now? What am I saying to myself about myself?
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you find that a lot of times there are two different types of people that, I don't know if I want to use the word give up, but I can't think of a better word right now, that there are two different kinds of people who give up. The ones that look at it and say, oh, I can't do that, so I'm just not even going to try. So they give up before they even start. And then there are others who set goals so big, they set their list of things to do so big that they set themselves up for failure. Do you find those two types of people in the clientele that you work with?
I've met all walks of life. What I will say about those two people, they do have something in common, which is they're setting themselves up to fail. Not trying will fail. To even you failing to try says, I will not get to that goal. So you've already made up your mind that it's not possible. Same thing about the in regard to the person that sets the goal so high, because subconsciously they know they're not going to get it. So it allows them to, when they don't reach it, I tried. There's no trying. We do it.
Yeah.
Don't try to do a push-up, do a push-up.
Yeah.
If we need to modify, we modify, but you're going to do it.
Right.
You're not going to try it. You're doing it.
Right.
Trying is so weak. Trying allows us to, when we say I tried, it's such a weak statement of, I tried it, and like, did you believe that you could? And I would say 99% of the time they didn't believe they could, so they just tried. Where you'll see people that have these incredible physical constraints do it. What's the difference? So one even has more of a handicap, if you will. If you're playing in golf, right? We talk about handicap. Somebody that is set up to not be able to do something and they do it. What is the difference? It is complete mindset. It is the decision of doing versus I'm going to just try.
Right.
It's playing small.
Playing small. And that's the total, that's like total mindset shift, because society tells us to play big, right?
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. And so the micro step really contradicts quite a bit of things.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting here thinking. I'm looking at this right here in my notes, the micro step approach. And I'm thinking that totally flies in the face of, societal pressure.
Yeah. Well, look how well society is doing right now.
Yeah.
We're in a crisis. We are in a health crisis. Yeah. So what's gotten us here is thinking that doesn't work. And just like you referred to Einstein, insanity would be repeating the thinking and expecting something different.
Yep.
So I changed it. So I kept hearing society say, you need to work out and you need to change your diet. And if I have identified with somebody that's fat my whole life, I will ensure that I am right because my subconscious believes this,
Mm.
regardless of how much I work out and regardless of what I eat.
Mm. And this micro step thinking, I bet we've not talked about this, but I can only imagine that it was born out of your own personal need to have it broken down into achievable steps, right?
It was really created when I started to look back on my blueprint of how I achieved what I achieved. When I started to break down, okay, what did I do? What were the pieces? Nothing's linear when it comes to a goal, right? You come up a little bit, you dip a little bit, you come up, but you keep going. So long as you keep going, you're going to have a beginning point and an end point. And it's never a straight line. So I started to see patterns. And my patterns were when I made tiny changes for long periods of time. It gave me the confidence to say, okay, got it. I'm going to choose something else. And then I would go for a long time. Got it. I'm not overwhelming the nervous system. What happens when we get New Year's resolutions? What happens when we take large goals or large step approaches is we overload the nervous system.
Yeah.
And it burns out. And so the possibility of progress completely ceases. It's just as if you were to work and you burn out in work, you go until your system physically shuts down. It is the same in concept with the psychology of this, with the micro-step approach. And so we take little bit by little bit, so the nervous system and your mind and subconscious can be acclimating as you go. It's like it doesn't work to do it. It's like, okay, this is good. You know, if I talk about brushing your teeth, you didn't come out of the womb brushing your teeth. It's a learned habit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all learned habits, it's consistency. And
I just had an epiphany. You know, in your overcomer segment, you said, if you wouldn't talk to your child that way, you shouldn't say those things to yourself. And this applies in the same way. If we wouldn't ask our child to do this whole long list of tasks because we know it's going to set them up for failure, why do we do it to ourselves? You know, we almost have to, it sounds like what you're saying, we have to think of ourselves very childlike, very simplistically, and say, listen, let's give you a baby step that you can take, we know you can do. Is that right?
If we talk about psychology and everybody having an inner child, aren't we children still?
Oh, yeah. I mean, good point. Excellent point.
Aren't we? And so when we speak to ourselves, aren't we speaking to the child? Because at the end of the day, it's the wounded child that comes out to project. Yeah. Yep. It's not the loved child, the child that received the affection and the affirmations. It's not that child that projects any kind of fear.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent point. Yes, because I think you're right. I think you're spot on. I think we are talking to that wounded inner child, not the loved child, but the wounded inner child. And yeah, you wouldn't set the wounded inner child up for failure by saying, okay, here are 25 things you've got to do in the next whatever time frame. It doesn't matter, 90 days, 9 days, because we know we're going to set them up for failure. But we have a tendency to do it to ourselves. So,
and let's say we even do one large goal. I'm going to work out so I've never worked out before. I'm going to work out every single day for 2 hours for 90 days. Is this possible? Yes. How do we talk to ourselves when we don't want to do it? So let's even say we get to the fact that we're doing it. Let's say that we're taking the action steps and we do it. How do we talk to ourselves on the days that we don't want to do it? How are we talking to ourselves if we don't make it? How are we talking, right? So if a child is learning how to walk, I love this. I love Tony Robbins. I'm a very big believer. I'm studying NLP as well, because this is all just wiring that we've come and I'm studying culturescapes. And when we bring up society, this is so critical because what we've been told is what we believe. However, it doesn't mean it's right unless we choose to be righteous about it. So when we take a large goal or a tiny goal, what will be revealed to us is what we think about ourselves in the conversations that we have to ourselves about ourselves. We will start to see what's been told to us, because oftentimes hurt people. Yeah. So this wounded child, we're not born wounded. This is nature and nurture.
Right.
But a child is pure and innocent. And until that they can comprehend the words that are being said through projections of a unhealed person, the child wouldn't know any better than to just try it until it worked.
Right.
When a child is starting to learn how to walk, that's where I was going with this. Apologies, because I got detoured here. But when a child is learning how to walk, the parents not like stop trying. Just stop trying. It's not working. But as an adult, if we get into that little lull on our journey, what do we say? Oh, it's not working. So just stop. It's so counterintuitive to what we know to say to ourselves, and yet we do it.
Yeah. So first step in the micro-step approach is set a small measurable goal that you can achieve in the next 90 days. If you miss it on the 89th day, you got to start the 90 days all over, correct?
I think the first step, the first question to anything of this, and including the micro-step, the first micro-step is, who do you need to be?
Okay. So the three questions that you led in with initially are those first steps.
That's the first step. Those are the first steps. We must step into something new to have something new. Who do I need to be? Being aware. So really it's awareness. I guess if I were to put it in one word, but I do it as a question. I like questions because it pulls out stuff, right? I don't want to tell you be aware. What does that mean? I want you to ask yourself, who do you need to be to get this goal? First step. That's a little step, yeah? And that's not a 90-day thing, right? The third step is where we're taking action now. This is something I'm committed to. Commitment is really key. Marriage is not always fun. There are days that you don't like your spouse, but you love them. And if you're committed to them, you keep recommitting. Goals are about recommitment. Goals are like marriage. It is constant recommitment. Wow.
That's a great quote. I mean, that's like a quotable quote right there. That's awesome. Love it. That's awesome. So, first step is, who do I need to be?
Who do I need to be? And why?
Second step.
Why? Why is this important? Why am I doing this? Why am I even talking about who I need to be?
Do you ever have clients, or have you ever done this with yourself, where you feel like the why that you came up with just wasn't big enough?
Absolutely. And in discovery of my why, sometimes I realize that it's not that important to me. Which is very possible. If we're getting to, I want to lose 10 pounds, and my why is it's not substantial, or it's not making me feel connected, or aligned is the word I use with my clients. I am about alignment. In order for me to work with somebody one-on-one, I must be aligned with them. I'm not going to take somebody that wants a quick fix, doesn't believe they need to change anything, is unwilling to look at certain things. We're not aligned.
Right.
So as I'm going through those whys, sometimes that will reveal itself.
Very good.
Which is a critical, which is why we ask that, which is why that's the number 2. Maybe I bump it up to number 1, because if there's no why, then you don't need to worry about who you need to be. Yeah.
Yep. No, if we don't have a big enough why, we're not going to be motivated to stick it out.
There will be nothing that gets you on the days that you don't want to do it. I do a morning workout. There's not a single morning that I wake up and I want to do it. Not one. The reason I do it is because I know that it's a habit that starts my day off, reminding me of the journey that I've been on.
Right.
That's my why. It roots me in my intention to serve people.
Interesting how you just did that. It roots me in my intention to serve people, because it's not about the actual going to the gym. It's not about the exercise. It's because it grounds you. It roots you in your purpose.
This is out of bed. I do this. So I don't leave. I wake up to remind myself why I'm here.
Mm. That's awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So then third step.
The third step is going to be, what action am I committed to taking for 90 days, with the understanding that if I were to stop, I will start back at day one to build that habit. Habits take time. On average, a habit takes 66 days. You'll hear 21 days. Okay, so we're going to hear these spectrums. However, an average of 66 days. This is in Atomic Habits. It's a beautiful book. Highly recommended. Which means that, where do those averages come from? From psychology and our belief system. So how tied are we to what we're trying to change? And so that's why I say 90 days. Just assume that we are righteous in our belief system that is holding us back from doing this, holding us from doing it up until this point. Let's just assume that it's a really deep-seated belief that we have to start to uncover, and it's going to take a little longer. Otherwise, you probably would have already done it. There's probably something stopping you from doing it on a psychological level. So that's why I say 90 days. So the first is, who do I need to be? Why do I want this? And again, you may uncover that it's, you know what, not that important to me. Maybe I want to drink more water because I want my skin to look better, and it's not even about losing weight. So I uncover some different things about the initial goal anyways, and then an action you can take aligned with all of those things.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. So, and that's the micro step. That's the micro step approach in 3 steps, right?
That's it. And understand that you can take that to anything. So I want to become debt free. Who do I need to be?
Who do I need to be?
Right. Little disciplined, less going out, more staying in, getting creative with dates. Right. Why is it important to me? That go in the layers. That first one's going to be surface. Well, I want to have more money, right? I want to become debt free, so I have more money to spend. Well, that's probably not why. Right? Ultimately, it may be about freedom and being able to do what you want with who you want, whenever you want. Okay. And then, what's an action step I can take today?
I love it. Yep. That's so easy. So the micro step approach is actually micro easy. It's so good.
That's why it works. That's why it works. We don't take 100-pound weight loss.
Yeah.
If somebody needs to lose 100 pounds, we don't focus on that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That is so much. And I love that you mentioned this society again, because I've been studying these culturescapes. We are so programmed by outside forces until we stop to question our intuition and allow our intuition to speak. We already know that focusing on something negative is not going to serve us.
Right.
But look at what the news puts out.
Right.
And okay, to reinforce it. So it's really powerful to stop and listen. And somebody had asked me, I had done a podcast, and a woman asked me if I could say one thing, if I could tell what's the first thing to do, or one thing to do if you want to lose weight. And you know what I said? I didn't say any of this. I said, breathe. What's going to happen is, when we're still, our body's always talking to us. If awareness is everything, then to be still and allow that to come up and reveal itself. It's really powerful. We become human doings instead of human beings.
Yeah. We're not human doings. We're human beings. And being still is actually scary for a lot of people.
Many. Yeah. If you don't like the person that you are, absolutely, which is another reveal. All this is a discovery. All journeys are discovery back to ourselves, to remember our true selves. If I am not comfortable sitting by myself in silence, there is some major healing that gets to be done. Most people don't want to go there. 98% of people don't want to go there. It's because it's.
Yeah, and I dare say there's probably more than 90% that don't.
Oh, I'd say 98. I would say 98% of people do not. I would say 2% are conscious of, and do the work to go back to those dark places to do the healing, because the only way out is through. And so if you've already been through it, right, and it was unprocessed, and you're at an adult now, so now you're here as an adult, so it started here and now you're here, the only way out is back through there.
Yep.
And going back through there when we've tried to suppress it for so long, again, we think counterintuitive, but it's not, because what's on the other side is freedom from that. Then it doesn't have a hold. But the thought of going back to that place is extremely challenging.
Right.
I applaud many people. I brought on a trauma therapist on my staff because a lot of high obese, a lot of, like, we're talking morbidly obese, so much is trauma related.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this intuitive thought of, and I question and I ask, because I'm very curious about this, of what people's opinions are. And I said, I phrased it, is it possible that depression and anxiety are unprocessed traumas? And across the board, it's yes.
Right.
So what that tells me is that most people aren't doing that. That's why I said 98%, because look at the amount of mental health and what's coming from. We're not even accepting and allowing people to have their feelings. We're not even making it safe for them to have their experience of unprocessed trauma. We're saying, no, you can't even have that. Not only can you not process your trauma, you can't even have the experience of your unprocessed trauma. How is that anything love?
Well, it's like, we tell people how they can grieve. If grief goes on for more than, 6 weeks, we tell them there's something wrong with them. Why is that? I mean, everybody's journey is different. The same thing holds true for trauma. Everybody's journey is different. They're going to go about it in a different way, at a different speed. They're going to heal in different ways, in unique ways. But society has this weird way of trying to define that for people.
My experience is people get uncomfortable with something that they can't help. I think people are inherently good. I really do believe this.
Yeah, I do too.
And when we're confronted with somebody that we love that isn't happy,
right,
or they're just grieving, period. So forget happiness, but they're extremely sad. And there's nothing I can do to control the outcome of this.
Right.
That's what's projected.
Yeah,
I don't have control, and I want control.
It's the discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. 99.9% of people are not sociopaths. They do care. They just don't know how to deal with that emotion, because I think you're right. I think, truth be known, there are more people that deal with unresolved trauma than we're aware of. And people don't want to be reminded of their own trauma. So it's easier just to say, hey, it's time for you to get over that and move on.
And I'm a believer in forward momentum. Don't get me wrong. And when I lost my dog, I mean, at one point, because when I started to have like weird thoughts, I looked up, okay, there's got to be stages to this thing, because I'm having some weird, like when she had just passed, it was absolute denial. I mean, I just was in complete shock and I could not accept it. And then I went into what is called the bargaining stage, where I would say, I just want my dog back. And these are things I said out loud. And as I started to, because I'm very I self-assess only all the time.
Right.
Because I want to master my psychology. I'm here for one.
Right.
If I'm to serve people, I must be a master of my psychology, if I'm to serve at the highest level. And so when I started to hear these things that sound so bizarre to me as I'm saying them, I looked it up, and sure enough, stages of grief. What they don't say in these graphs are the time that you're supposed to be grieving is supposed to. And what they absolutely don't touch on is why you're experiencing it, how you're experiencing it. Now, if I'm Buddha and I understand that it's a simple transition and all spirits are around me and my dog's still here. Okay, but my physical dog is no longer here when I come home. And so for me, because I'm not Buddha, I experience a loss. And we can't lose what we don't have. And so that's Buddha, and I understand that, but that loss is still there. The gravity of that loss will be different from somebody that loses a parent that they're not close to. The gravity of me losing my very best friend, my beloved dog, who was my greatest teacher, will be more extreme than somebody who lost somebody that they don't care about, or in fact have deep fear or hatred of. So when we judge anything, we don't allow for acceptance.
Right.
Judgment and acceptance cannot coexist. Fear and love cannot coexist. And like, what am I trying to put out here? What are we doing?
Right. No,
and when we judge, all it's saying is I'm judging myself.
Yeah. That's a great point. Great point. Switching gears a little bit, with your micro-step approach, is there, I know you mentioned the lady that had polio and what she overcame. Is there another story that comes to mind where, somebody was greatly impacted by this approach?
Yes, recently. So I had a woman that had reached her highest weight with quarantine, and she came to me extremely upset. And it was actually in messaging, but I could hear it. I could hear the sadness in it, and so we did jump on a call with this. And I think she had sent me a message probably about a month into it and said, "This is so manageable." Because I said, "I see your weight going down every week after week." And she said, "It's because it's so manageable." We made one tweak, and it was looking at portions. That's it. She didn't change what she was eating. She made no changes whatsoever. And I need people to hear this. You can have everything, just not all at once.
Just not all at once.
I think Oprah said that. I love Oprah so much. So she changed nothing about what she was physically putting into her body except for the amount that she was putting in. Now that's the 90 day. At 90 days, now we can look at, why don't we add a green vegetable in change of a starch? Right. So it's not, I'm going to overload your system with totally overhauling your diet. Let's just look at one thing. Consistent weight loss week after week. Rock star.
And in your bio, you work with other health clinics. I can see why now, because I think health professionals get bogged down and saying, okay, I'm not going to see this person back for, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or even 12 weeks in many cases. I need to give them a list of things that they need to do in order to change this now. And I mean, we send them out the door with this list of things to do, and it never gets done. And then, the patient's upset, the health provider's upset, and like nothing happened. So yeah, I can see why you do what you do so successfully with other clinics, as well as working with individuals, because it's needed. I think your example that you gave there with the client, she said it's so manageable, and I had the vision of the proverbial elephant that we're trying to eat in one bite, and we can't do that, and we can't ask our clients to do that either. So
the system is not set up for people to win. How many people avoid going to the doctors because I already know what they're going to tell me? I need to lose weight. Or they go to the doctor, hear that they need to lose weight, and take no action.
Yeah.
MDs on average get one semester of nutrition. And when I say mindset is everything with weight loss, nutrition is the very next thing. And insurance isn't set up for people to win.
Sure.
At all. So yeah, I mean, it is a crisis, and that's why I'm going with the corporate people to try and get this message to as many people as humanly possible for as long as I'm here on earth.
Right.
In hopes that they'll take it then to their children. That's the butterfly effect that I see and that I envision. people have become hopeless. And what I'm here to tell anybody that wants to change is it is possible. The first step is believing that you can do it. That is everything. Not believing that it's going to look a certain way, not believing that you're going to be a model, what's the goal, but believing that it's just possible. And I'm here to be that space to show that it is.
Yeah. I love it. Love your vision, love your mission. And
Thank you.
I love where you're going with this.
Thank you. Thank you for being a space to share it. It means so much.
So are there any last nuggets or advice or knowledge that you'd like to, share as we wrap it up?
This is what I'll say. If you were like me, when I was at my heaviest and you've lost hope, you know that all the information is there, but you haven't taken the steps to get anything done, or you've quote unquote tried everything. The good news is, if I haven't talked to you, you haven't tried everything. My advice is to start looking at the things you say to yourself about yourself and start to pivot anything negative to something kinder and more true. This is going to lead to you making different decisions in your health. That's what I'm leaving. When we start to love ourselves a little more, we allow more love in. And it's going to show up in different ways, but health will be a byproduct of this.
It's such wise advice. It's just begin taking those first steps to showing yourself a little bit of love and grace. Yeah.
Like you would your child.
Yeah, like you would your child. Exactly.
Because you are.
Yeah. So how do people get in contact with you? If they want to touch base with you on social media, follow you on social media, or do you have a program or anything that somebody could reach out to you about if they were curious about working with you?
Yeah, so we're on social media. So the V Trainer across the board, Instagram and Facebook. Website is www.thevtrainer.com. We'll do a fitness assessment completely free. We'll jump on a discovery call completely free. And if nothing else, you'll leave with an action that you can start to incorporate, whether or not you're part of my program or not. You can't come to me without receiving something.
Awesome. And guys, she's serious about that. Liz would not have thrown that out there if she wasn't serious about it. Take her up on that. If you're sitting on the fence, make that your action step. This is my action step. I'm just going to reach out. What's the worst thing that could happen? You can end up having a really good conversation with Liz.
Instead of asking what's the worst that can happen, ask what the best. What's the best that can happen if I reach out and speak to somebody that was exactly where I'm at?
Yeah.
What's
exactly.
the best thing that can happen? I'm not going to pressure sales you. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I have no interest, and I will give you something.
Yeah. That's awesome. Ending with a not so serious question, as I usually do. What's the most awkward thing that happens to you on a regular basis?
Awkward on a regular basis.
If you can't think of a regular thing, you throw something in there that happened recently.
Well, yesterday, I walked around with my pants inside out. That is not regular. I say this, and I shouldn't even ingest. I joke about the proverbial blonde moment, except as you see, I've had bleach. And so I really do. I'm not convinced that there's not some sort of chemical leakage from that bleach. I just do really absent-minded things sometimes. And instead of, having those mean conversations, I just laugh. Okay, so this is funny. I want to share this because it's so funny how my mind goes. So I went skydiving, I don't know, a month ago or so. And this is like a little snapshot of my brain. because I have like a flair for drama. So I'm on the plane and I'm silently praying. I'm like, please take care of all the people jumping today in this plane. And then I got to thinking, because I'm so dramatic, I'm like, no, God, please watch over every single crazy person that decided that they should jump out of a plane today, because this is not the only plane, right? So yeah, it's just, I'm so weird. I had a doctor say, you will never get from A to Z. You go A to Y to B to M, right? So my thinking brain is so bizarre, but and that's constant. So I guess.
But I think in the example of that prayer, see, I didn't take it as that was odd. I took it as that was very empathic. It's like, no, wait a minute, there got to be other people jumping from planes today.
There is somebody else losing their everything, because man, what an experience. If you haven't been skydiving, have you been skydiving?
No, it's on my bucket list.
Okay, it was on my bucket list. When quarantine hit, I said, you know what? I don't know what this all is going to turn out to be. I'm going to start getting pretty aggressive about it. And I was up there and I was so ready. And they rush you because they get paid by the jumps, right? So they rush you. They want to get up, get you out and get the next group in. My guy, he told me nothing. And I went with my girlfriend, whose instructor was just telling her everything about the experience.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, hey, my guy, whose name is Ranger, said none of this. I said, I need to listen. What do you say? Okay, so my guy told me nothing more than I needed to know before I needed to know it. If we don't attract what we are, right? So think about my concept of the micro step approach. I'm not going to give you anything more than what you need right now. Yeah. Wow. So I attract a skydiving tandem person who gave me nothing more than what I needed at the moment. I said, I was so enthusiastic, but we scooted towards the edge. And I said, you know what? I know you gave me all these cues that we were going to do it. I said, you're going to need to make this happen. I'm not jumping out of this plane. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I don't even know. That's so random, but.
So he did to you exactly what you do to your clients.
Karma.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it was in perfect instruction, by the way. Flawless. So it's perfect.
Liz, another great interview. Thank you for sharing your expert wisdom this time and sharing with us that micro step approach for not just weight loss, but for any goal that we're setting. That was just pure gold, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Really, it really means a lot.
Oh man, I'm so glad to have you here, and we'll have to have you get back again. I know that you've got a book in the future, and we'll have to have you back around the time of that book launch for sure.
Yeah. I make up that's happening.
Yeah, we got to make it happen. All right. As we wrap up, I'd like to make our listeners aware of something. I've been announcing this now for a couple of weeks, and I'm going to continue to announce it until the time of the launch. But I'm going to be doing a boot camp. It's called the Gene Hack Bootcamp. And in that boot camp, we're going to be able to tell you, you're going to learn in 5 days, 60 to 90 minutes each session, each day, Monday through Friday. In this 5-day boot camp, and it's going to be free, by the way. So remember that it's not going to be free for long, but at least 2 or 3 boot camps, I'm going to not be charging anything because I want this information to get out there. But in the 5-day boot camp, you're going to understand exactly which of your 5 zones is out of balance so that we can focus on that zone first. And then you're going to have a master list of the optimization genes that you need to have checked in order to reach physical, mental, and emotional optimization. From the genetic level up, I believe that we need to, there's 2 things that we need to start at the foundational level of, and that's thinking, the 6-inch space between our ears, and your genetics. If we can get those 2 foundations laid, everything else, the skyscraper goes up really, really easily. So if you want to be included on an early release list, just so we notify you that, hey, yeah, this is happening, reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram at Dr. Brian G. Brown and tell me, hey, I want on the early notification list. And it's that simple. Otherwise, you can go to our website, drbriangBrown.com/question, and you can just shoot me a message there, and I'll be glad to get back with you. So tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time for our live In the Zone segment, where I'll be recapping today's interview in this servant leader segment with Liz Hall. I'll be sharing the nuggets from this interview and how they fit into the Genesis Zone Advantage. I'll be answering any questions and, again, exploring other juicy topics that are out there as far as current events are concerned. Most informed, most trusted, and most grateful you spent this time with us again today. Until next time, stay in the zone. I'm Dr. Brian Brown.